Denver 7 Now is sponsored by Ferguson and BAC Appliance Center, the best in bath, kitchen, and lighting for your home.
I'm Shannon Ogden with the latest from Denver 7. A woman who's made a career taking care of others is now desperate for someone to take care of her. Her insurance company has denied her cancer treatment 3 times, claiming a specific kind of treatment is unnecessary, even though her doctor says otherwise. Well, tonight she tells Contact 7's Liz Gilardi this is the fight of her life, and she is not going quietly.
The latest denial sent out by Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield just days ago, the day we sat down with Holly DArcy.
I just feel like this is the best thing for me. I know it is. I mean, when a doctor says to you, this is what I would do for my wife or my child or me, I don't hear that, and I work with doctors all day long. They don't say that.
Holly is an emergency room nurse. She prefers that title instead of cancer patient.
It was devastating. I don't think it was real at first.
She found out in July. Doctors diagnosed her with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 2. She met with a radiation oncologist.
It's not only treatable, but I found out that there's a possibility that I could be cured.
Promising news, but Holly is concerned about side effects from the radiation because of where her cancer is located.
Where my cancer is so close to my esophagus, my lungs, my heart, my breasts.
She got a second opinion, and then she started researching something called proton beam therapy. According to the Mayo Clinic, it's a type of radiation that uses energy from positively charged particles called protons. Traditional radiation uses X-rays.
They said this is the best treatment for you.
That's what they told you?
Yes.
Versus traditional radiation?
Absolutely.
Holly got a third opinion, a consultation at an out-of-state clinic for proton beam therapy.
So the doctor sent over the plan to get approved by the insurance company, and it was denied immediately.
Her doctor sent over 2 appeals, both denied. In a letter from her health plan, it said proton beam therapy is considered investigational and not medically necessary for the treatment of Hodgkin's lymphoma and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Dealing with cancer is hard enough, and dealing with the insurance company on top of that is just, it's too much. It's way too much.
But Holly says she'll keep fighting cancer and her insurance company. Liz Gilardi, Denver 7.
And you might be wondering if it's the cost, and we're going to get into that and confront Blue Cross Blue Shield in part 2 of the story, and that airs tonight on Denver 7 News at 10. Come January, home weed delivery arrives in Superior. City Council just approved it. Now, someone still has to drive it to your door, of course, because mailing pot is still very much a federal crime. And speaking of deliveries, your ballot should be in the mailbox this week, and that gives you a few weeks to study up on initiatives that would tweak Tabor, legalize sports betting, and if you are in Arapahoe County, authorize higher taxes to build a new jail. And we've covered these issues extensively, and you can find our reporting right now on thedenverchannel.com. In today's news of the obvious, an overwhelming number of Coloradans think rail service spanning the entire state is a great idea if they don't have to pay for it. The Front Range Rail Service is one of those ideas that's been floating around for years. Different start and end points have been talked about, but most generally people agree it would stretch from somewhere between Fort Collins to Pueblo. 93% people recently surveyed by Magellan Strategies think it's a great idea. Then they were asked if they would support the project if it meant raising taxes. 61% said so. Well, it might not look like much, but this is what dreams are made of. Sitting dormant inside a hangar in Louisville, the Sierra Nevada Corporation hopes this hull will one day become the Dreamcatcher, a shuttle capable of shipping cargo to the International Space Station. And if you're thinking, well, that's really cool, but I'm not getting in there, don't worry. The plan is to start with unmanned flights.
So you can do all these things, ascent, orbit, and entry, without a crew. And so then when we do add the crew, then we can do it in very specific ways to give it more capability, more flexibility.
The goal is to blast off from Florida and perform a minimum of 6 missions. Launch date is set for just 2 years from now.
How did it feel to see my son again? This is a relief. We're going to watch him a lot closer.
Well, he had us all fooled, at least for a few hours. Tonight, believe it or not, marks 10 years since the country turned its attention to Fort Collins and the outrageous and terrifying story of that little boy we thought was trapped in an out-of-control weather balloon. And it seemed like every cop in northern Colorado was out looking for then 6-year-old Falcon Heaney. CNN was certainly all over it. We even had Mike Nelson tracking the balloon's route.
The flight time, 1 hour and 50 minutes. The distance, about 55 miles as the crow flies, or as the balloon flew.
And then came that collective sigh of relief. Falcon had just been hiding at home the whole time. But his statements were a little off. The story had some pretty big holes in it, and pretty soon it became clear we'd been had. Dad, Richard Heaney, would end up spending 90 days in jail for masterminding this hoax. He was trying to land a reality show. Well, the Heaneys didn't want to talk to us now, but a reporter from 5280 magazine, his name's Robert Sanchez, did manage to track the family down. They live in New York State now. He describes Richard as a constant performer, always looking for an angle, incapable of owning up to his actions.
Maybe the only remorse that they have is that it went so sideways. I mean, I guess that would be the remorse they have. This went sideways on them. They didn't intend for it to go this way, but so many of their plans have gone sideways. They're not exactly, I think, where they want it to be.
Now, as for Falcon, he is 16 years old now. He's in a band with his brother. And for all the strangeness that has followed the family, that reporter there, Sanchez, described the siblings as great, hardworking kids. 10 years, wow. This has been your Denver 7 On-Demand Update. Thanks for watching. We'll have another one later for you tonight. Watch that one too. And download the Denver 7 app for breaking news and alerts. I'm Shannon Ogden.